Very good morning and a warm welcome to all of you. This fine morning, today we are going to have the release of 3 books, the first announcement and website launch of 7th International Conference on Recent Advances in Geotechnical Earthquake Engineering and Soil Dynamics, scheduled in July 2020 at IISc campus. And further, we will have a day-long workshop with technical sessions. This event is being organized by the Department of Civil Engineering, Indian Institute of Science, in association with Springer Nature, Indian Society of Earthquake Technology, IIT Roorkee, Indian Society of Earthquake Science, and Indian Geotechnical Society, Bangalore chapter. We are very happy to see the overwhelming response. In spite of the Bharat Bandh, we have a very good number here, and many senior faculty members, young professionals, industry professionals, senior researchers and students. So we thank each one of you for being here with us, taking your time and struggling to reach here. Thank you very much. So before we start, I request everyone to kindly switch off your mobile phones or at least keep them in silent mode, please. So before we start, let us stand in silence for a minute, remembering those who lost lives in past earthquakes in India and elsewhere, please. Thank you. Now I invite Professor Anurag Kumar, Dr. Shailesh Nayak, and Professor Sitharam to kindly occupy the dais. Professor Anurag Kumar is the Director of Indian Institute of Science, and he was the coordinator from IISc for the Education Research Network ERNET program, and he is also fellow of several societies including World Academy of Sciences. Dr. Shailesh Nayak is the Director, National Institute of Advanced Studies, Bangalore, and he was the former Secretary of Ministry of Earth Sciences and Chairman Earth Commission and Director in COIS. Professor T.G. Sitharam is a KSID Chair Professor in the area of Energy and Mechanical Sciences and a Senior Professor in the Department of Civil Engineering, IISc, and he also chairs the AICT Southwestern Regional Committee at Bangalore, and he is a member of the Governing Council, AICT. Now I request Professor Madhavilata to kindly deliver the welcome address.
Respected dignitaries on the dais, off the dais, colleagues, students, delegates, and dear friends. Good morning to all of you, and a very warm welcome to this event of book release and workshop on recent advances in geotechnical earthquake engineering, jointly being organized by the Department of Civil Engineering, Indian Institute of Science, Indian Society of Earthquake Technology, Indian Society of Earth Science, and the Bangalore chapter of Indian Geotechnical Society. On behalf of the Department of Civil Engineering, I extend a warm welcome to everyone present here. The Department of Civil Engineering at IISc was established in the year 1950, and over the past 7 decades, it has grown into one of the finest centers for academic and education, research, and training in civil engineering. The department stood as an epitome of progressive growth on earthquake engineering research in the country and contributed immensely to all the frontiers in civil engineering, especially to the capacity building in earthquake engineering research and seismic microzonation. The department served as nodal center for NPEEE, that is National Program on Earthquake Engineering Education and Research, and NPCERB in the past. Now the department has an excellent research group as well as advanced computational and experimental facilities in geotechnical earthquake engineering to study a wide swath of topics related to geotechnical earthquake engineering. Today's workshop is a pre-conference event to the upcoming 7th IISc, which was described by Sreevalsa. This conference is 7th in the series of IISc conferences initiated in the year 1981. 5 of them organized by Missouri University, USA, and the latest 6th one organized in Delhi under the leadership of Professor Shamsher Prakash. It is my pleasure and privilege to invite and welcome Professor Anurag Kumar, our director, to this workshop and event. I thank him for his gracious presence and continuous support. Welcome you, sir. I cordially invite Dr. Shailesh Nayak, Director NIAS. His keen interest and deep involvement in geophysical research and seismological aspects of earthquakes makes his presence very valuable to us for this function. I welcome you, sir. My hearty congratulations and hearty welcome to Professor Sitharam, Senior Professor of Department of Civil Engineering and author of the 3 books to be launched today. Welcome you, sir. My special welcome to the speakers of the workshop, Dr. B.K. Rastogi, President, Indian Society of Earthquake Science, Professor Hemanta Hazarika from Kyushu University, Japan, Professor Emal Munchal, Professor Emeritus and former Divisional Chairman of Mechanical Sciences at IISc, Dr. Brijesh Kumar Bansal, Ministry of Earth Sciences, Professor A. Bhuminathan, IIT Madras, Professor Satyendra Mittal, IIT Roorkee, Professor Chandan Ghosh, National Institute of Disaster Management, Professor M.R. Pranesh, former Director of NIT Surathkal and former Professor of IIT Madras, Professor B.R. Srinivasamurthy, former Professor and Registrar of IISc, Professor Ambalagan, IISc. I welcome Dr. M.P. Ravindra, President of IISc Alumni Association and former Vice Chancellor of Manipal University, Manipal International University, Malaysia. It is my pleasure to invite representatives from Springer and Taylor and Francis to this event. Special welcome to Ms. Swati Maharshi from Springer and Rajendra from Taylor and Francis, Rajesh from Taylor and Francis. I feel proud to welcome our former doctoral students, Dr. Naveen James and Dr. Sreevalsa Kolathayar, who co-authored the 3 books along with Professor Sitharam. I wish the workshop a grand success and wish all of you a wonderful time here. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. I request Dr. Naveen to speak about the books briefly.
Respected dignitaries on dais, faculty members, industrial professionals, and my dear students. As one of the authors, it is a proud day for me seeing one of my book is getting released. It's my privilege that I could contribute something in this book, and I thank my mentor, Professor Sitharam, for giving me an opportunity to be part of his publication and also inviting me to this event. At this point, my task is to describe about these books. The first book, titled Preparing for Earthquakes, Lessons for India, highlights the need for public awareness about the earthquake and its hazard. The book highlights Indian seismicity and provides a detailed description about earthquake preparedness for public. The second book, titled Comprehensive Seismic Zonation Schemes for Regions at Different Scale, delineates about seismic zonation methodologies in detail with reference to Indian scenarios. The book very well highlights the effect of local geology and site conditions on earthquake hazard. The book also details about the feasibility of various methodologies to be adopted for seismic zonations of regions at different scale. The third book, titled Earthquake Hazard Assessment, India and Adjacent Regions, highlights about seismic hazard assessment methodologies in detail. The book discusses about seismicity analysis, estimation of seismicity parameter of a region at both finer and broader level using different methodologies, and also characterization of regional seismicity and estimation of seismic hazards. All these studies in the field of seismic hazard assessment, seismic zonation, carried out by Professor Sitharam and his group, are consolidated in these 3 books. In short, I'm very happy to say that these 3 books are one of the best reference documents available in the area of geotechnical earthquake engineering. I pray to Lord Almighty for the strength and well-being of Professor Sitharam so that he can continue his contribution in the area of geotechnical earthquake engineering and disaster mitigation. Thank you all. Jai Hind.
Thank you, Naveen. Now I will invite Professor Sitharam to say the opening remarks.
Very good morning to all of you. Warm welcome to this book release function as well as the workshop on the advances in geotechnical earthquake engineering in this majestic faculty hall of the Indian Institute of Science. I know today is a Bharat Bandh and many of you had really great struggle to reach this venue, and some of them are still on the way. Hopefully they will be coming by 11:30. First of all, let me thank Director of Indian Institute of Science, Professor Anurag Kumar, for accepting our invite to be here to release the books. So on behalf of Civil Engineering Department as well as on my behalf, I thank him for gracing this occasion. Similarly, when I asked Professor Dr. Sailesh Nayak, former Secretary Minister for Earth Sciences and Director NIAS, he also immediately obliged, and he is here with us to release the books as well as to say a few words about the activities, the topics covered in this book. So I thank both of them for gracing this occasion. Then I also would like to place my on record thanks to my co-authors, Dr. Sreevalsa Kolathayar, as well as Dr. Naveen James, for helping me in bringing out these 2 books. Actually, this work is actually happened from the last almost 20-25 years with several of my PhD students. Almost about, I can say number was also 30 students who contributed extensively. So thank all of them for their contribution in one way or the other, and to see the books in this fashion. I would like to also thank Springer. Particularly, I would like to thank Dr. Shrini Shrestha. She is actually the editor at Springer in Washington, D.C., through which only we worked through these 2 books. And finally, she also put us in touch with Swati Maharshi, who is the India coordinator for Springer Nature. And she's here, and we thank both of them for giving us this opportunity to bring these books through Springer. And I also would like to happily say that we're also helping them in bringing the Springer Transaction in Civil and Environmental Engineering series, which is a book series in Springer, particularly in Civil and Environmental Engineering. There's a fantastic contribution by many authors across India as well as world in this series. It's catching up very well. Now I also would like to place on record my thanks to CRC Balkema, Taylor and Francis, Dr. Gagandeep Singh, and today Rajesh is representing him. He is here from the Taylor and Francis as well as Balkema as well as CRC Press, which is in our last book. So today I will take briefly, the look over how did we achieve to this book. As we all know, that earthquakes are, particularly the country India has many large earthquakes, and large economic loss as well as the human loss has happened over a period of time. So I still remember very, very vividly, in 1993, that's the time I actually received my offer from Indian Institute of Science as an assistant professor. 1993, sometime in September, I think, if I remember correctly, this Latur earthquake took place. That happened at 3:56 a.m. local time in the morning, early morning, 30th September 1993, and which really created a catastrophe of almost 10,000 people killed, 30,000 people injured. It's right in the center of India. And the magnitude was not that much. It was 6.2 on a Richter scale. And why did so many people were killed? That too, it is not a plate boundary. And it was on a fault. At that time, it was not known fault, but people found that it was related to a particular fault. And however, in 1994, January 17th, there was a Northridge earthquake in Los Angeles. It also happened early morning, 4:30 in the morning. And it was actually a magnitude of 6.7, little higher than what it happened in Latur. It was in San Fernando Valley, which is also a reasonably densely populated area. But the people who were killed in that earthquake was only 60. 9,000 people got injured, as against 30,000 injured in Latur earthquake. So both of them happened early morning. What was the message here? Actually, the people in Los Angeles were sleeping in their safe houses. However, our people in Latur, they were in fragile buildings which actually fell on them and killed most of them. So this message is very clear that earthquakes don't kill people. It is the buildings which we civil engineers construct is the cause for it. So what are the challenges for us? So every time we wake up when a big earthquake comes, in a hurry we review or revise our Bureau of Indian Standard Codes, and then again we fall short of implementing them while doing construction. So if you remember the Bhuj earthquake, which happened in 2001, which is also called as Republic Day earthquake, which is in Gujarat, it happened it happened morning at 8:46 a.m. Okay, it was a long period earthquake. It happened almost 2 minutes, 7.7 on the MW scale. So there again, we had a huge loss of people and also the property. 20,000 people killed, 1,70,000 people injured, 4 lakh homes destroyed or demolished. Many high-rise buildings as far as Ahmedabad, which is 350 kilometers from the epicenter of the Bhuj earthquake, were also collapsed and several hundreds of people killed in Ahmedabad city. All these actually raised an alarm that in earthquake engineering, the role of geotechnical was actually completely missed. So most of the local site effects, site amplifications were not considered at that time, not even known. So we were the first one to actually highlight that aspect, and over a period of time, last 20 years, we have done a lot of extensive work on seismic macrozonation jointly with NDMA as well as Ministry of Earth Sciences and many other agencies in the country. And here I would like to highlight, instead of just the construction as per the code is not the issue, we need to look at the rebuilding of the lives, which is critical. So that means we need to also prepare them. The preparedness is the one which is lacking. That is why our book is on actually talking about preparedness of the earthquakes. How do you prepare the people before even the earthquake comes, during the earthquake, and after the earthquake? That's what the message has been sent. So if you all know that in the Nepal earthquake, which was recently happened, even the relief helicopters and the flights could not land because there was no place for them to land. Everywhere debris or the the building demolished, the buildings were there. So how do we really prepare this in such a scenario? So at the Institute of Science, in Department of Civil Engineering, we started to work very early. Our first project from DST, Ministry for Sciences came, DST, Earth Sciences that time, was on liquefaction of soils. Okay, and we developed new equipment on cyclic triaxial indigenously in the country, and many PhD students have worked on that. So from there we started, and we also have a strong seismograph just across the swimming pool. There is a rock outcrop. We have placed a seismograph, which is now as part of the national network, recording earthquakes happens anywhere in the world. So in this study of earthquakes, particularly in the geotechnical aspects, our group has extensively worked, and we have now one of the state-of-the-art laboratories in the world, considering all the geotechnical testing. And if some of you have time, just take your time and go and have a look at the facilities what we have created at the Department of Civil Engineering, particularly in geotechnical engineering. We do have a shake table, resonant column, direct shear, pure shear test, and then cyclic triaxial, and many other facilities which I can go on. Earthquake prediction, I think we are very far away. It is unlikely earthquakes will ever be able to predict. So no prediction is so far is successful. It is necessary to prepare the community in that context how to face the earthquakes. Earthquake can be dangerous if you are in a wrong place. That means they can make buildings fall down, set off landslides, tsunami, cause liquefaction, fires, flooding, etc. Because of there are all the secondary effects of the earthquakes. So in this context, an engineer trying to understand what geophysicist is trying to do is very important, because civil engineers, if he knows how to calculate the exact force coming on the buildings, then he can design it much better. Today, in designing for earthquakes is not really a new knowledge. It is how to really assess the hazard, estimate the hazard is the key. So that's what these three books actually talk about, how to really assess the hazard at different scales, because there are challenges of the investigation, geotechnical investigation at particular local sites. So we have covered and prepared actually the guidelines, and this is, I hope it will be useful for the many agencies and also to the government. And Government of India actually, in fact, has announced microzonation of 64 cities, which is undergoing right now. And I was fortunate to be involved in the national NCR region microzonation Delhi, as well as we carried out very early. We were the first one to carry out the first microzonation of city of Bangalore, even though we are in the central part of India. And then I was also involved in the Lucknow microzonation. So with these brief remarks, I hope we'll have a fantastic deliberations in the afternoon and also lectures, which you will like it. We have friends from, I can say, Professor Hazarika is from Japan, and many of my other colleagues from IITs have come here to deliver the lectures in the workshop. So I actually thank them for being here on this occasion, and I hope all of you will have a pleasant experience through the workshop, through the entire day, and you'll take back good memories from the Institute of Science. So with this, I thank once again all of you for giving this opportunity to say about the books as well as my experiences in geotechnical earthquake engineering. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Sir, Professor, you can sit here. Can you please request those who are standing outside, there are some seats here which can be occupied. Please send them. Thank you. So now we will have the release of the book. First we will request Professor Anurag Kumar, Director IISc, to release the book. This is titled Earthquake Hazard Assessment, India and Adjacent Regions, published by CRC Press, Belkama. I will request Naveen also to join. Now I will request Dr. Shailesh Nayak to release the book titled Comprehensive Seismic Zonation Schemes for Regions at Different Scales, published by Springer. Naveen. Thank you, sir. Now I will request Professor Anurag Kumar and Dr. Shailesh Nayak to jointly release the book titled Preparing for Earthquakes, Lessons for India, published by Springer. Thank you, sirs. Now we will have the website launch of the 7th International Conference on Recent Advances in Geotechnical Earthquake Engineering and Soil Dynamics, scheduled at IISc Bangalore, Day and Data Auditorium in July 2020. May I request Professor Anurag Kumar to kindly release. Press the enter.
Enter, okay.
Yes. And also release the brochures, the first announcement of 7th ICRAG. Thank you, sir. Now I will request Professor Anurag Kumar to kindly address the gathering, please.
Good morning, everyone. First of all, I'd like to congratulate Professor T.G. Sitharam on the publication of his 3 new books, which adds to his already large number of books. He has already published 8 books. I know that now being an administrator in academia, publishing books not given much credit at the level of promotions and awards and all that. But yet, publishing books is a very important responsibility of all professors, because after all, that is the one way in which you communicate your many years of hard work, publications, papers and all, to the public, to let people know in a compact manner, in an easily accessible manner, what you have done. So it's an important responsibility of all academics to, at some point of time, publish what they have done in an easily accessible book form, and he has done that in plenty, this being his 11th, 8 plus 3, his last 3 books. I'm not an expert in earthquakes, I'm sure many of you here are, but I've experienced them. I grew up in North India, Delhi, Chandigarh and all, and growing up there, it was not uncommon to be woken up by earthquakes at night, and in the daytime, the ground is shaking, you don't know what to do. And as Professor Sitharam himself said, you were totally unprepared. You just run helter-skelter, run down the stairs, and you do something which was really maybe not the right thing to do. I don't know the buildings in Delhi and all were built to earthquake specifications. Luckily, there was no earthquake in Delhi and those parts of urban India which have caused major damage. They seem to have all occurred in areas which are more rural. But I think the 3 books draw attention to the technology developed over the last 20-30 years by this group, which will now help us maybe correct that problem. One book here is a very accessible guide to preparing ourselves before, during, and after an earthquake. Another one is a very important compendium on how to zone one's country, particularly in this case India. I'm happy to note that Bangalore is a relatively safe zone. I remember that after the Bhuj and Latur earthquake, there was a lot of concern about Bangalore. We are living in Bangalore. Bangalore is on a plateau. How safe are we? I immediately went to the insurance company to insure my house against earthquakes. They said, you are safe. But I still insisted, you please insure me against earthquakes. And since then, I am earthquake insured in my house. The third book is something which is more technical. It's about actually hazard assessment. How do you estimate the power of the earthquake at the epicenter by measuring the ground vibrations some distance from it? I read a part of this book and I couldn't help seeing some similarities between the way telecommunication engineers assess signal power when there is a radio at some distance. Very similar equations are obtained. There is some path loss, there is some source. So all I can say is that I'm very happy that one of our colleagues has brought out these 3 useful books for the community, and I wish these books very well. I'm sure they will do well in the marketplace. I'm sure that they do very well for the students to pick up the material from them in a hurry and then launch them into the research careers. So congratulations, Professor Sitharam again. Congratulations, Dr. Sreevalsa Kolathayar and Dr. Naveen James. Thank you very much for calling me here.
Thank you very much, sir, for your words of wisdom and connecting the approach we applied in earthquake engineering to the telecom engineering. Thank you very much, sir. Now I will request Dr. Shailesh Nayak to kindly address the gathering.
Professor Anurag Kumar, Director of Indian Institute of Science, Professor Sitharam and his co-authors, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning to all of you. I am very happy to see almost more than 150 people here for this. And it's very important, even today morning itself, Delhi experienced some tremors. And they say that it was somewhere near Meerut. So what Anurag Kumar was saying in Delhi, I think it's already happening. I'm extremely happy to be here and to participate in this release of these 3 books, which deals with the hazard, microzonation, and the preparedness of the society. I would like to compliment Professor Sitharam and his co-authors for bringing out very outstanding publications on the earthquake and basically how we should deal with it. Earthquake is one of the major hazards in India, and the most important is that we need to assess our vulnerability to any earthquake event. And once we know that, we need a mechanism so that we can minimize the loss of lives and damages to property and the infrastructure. However, in India, we also should realize that the increasing population and the unregulated urban growth have restricted the effective use of the scientific knowledge which we have about site selection, design of buildings, and necessary infrastructure. Thus, in many cities and towns, people have occupied potentially hazardous areas without realizing the risk. The vulnerability of people had increased manifold in seismically active zones, especially in North, East or East India and parts of Gujarat. What we need to do to address these issues? I think the first task is to set up an infrastructure to monitor the seismic activities and their availability of the data in real time. During last 1 decade, the monitoring of earthquake, estimating the earthquake parameters, and disseminating this information to various stakeholders have been made very efficient. All the seismographs, GPS, and other related instruments have been networked to provide the data in near real time. During Sikkim and Nepal earthquakes, the information on earthquake was provided within 10 minutes to all concerned. This data were used to create damage scenarios which were made available to the crisis management group for rescue and relief. And this certainly helped to initiate early relief and rescue operations. Actually, in Sikkim earthquake, the first relief plane took off exactly after 2 hours of the event, which was something which is very important. And of course, the density of the seismograph, accelerographs, and GPS should be continuously improved, and it is being done. The second, which is very important in my view, is that we should carry out the assessment of hazards and vulnerability on a continuous basis. For this, we need very reliable estimates of the earthquake ground motion. Such estimates provide the vulnerability of a given region. In India, the availability of a strong motion data is rather limited. However, the region-specific PGA data is available and probably made use of in all the books. The comprehensive assessment of the long-term earthquake rates, which facilitate the probabilistic forecasting and improve our understanding of the vulnerability. In this regard, the book on earthquake hazard assessment, India and adjacent regions, by Professor Kolathayar and Professor Sitharam is a very significant contribution in this field. Also, the identification and knowledge about active faults which can generate the large earthquakes or which have generated large earthquake in the past for a few thousand years is also critical to assess the risk. The complete inventory of the active fault of the country needs to be built, and I understand the process is on. The development of seismic microzonation of urban centers has been recognized as a priority area. The challenge to hazard mapping to predict the ground motion effects related to various sources, path and site characteristic with acceptable levels of reliability. Both deterministic and probabilistic approaches are being used to estimate the earthquake parameters. Hazard maps from the few urban areas, as Professor Sitharam mentioned, Delhi, Lucknow, Calcutta, Sikkim, Guwahati, and many others have been made. However, they are yet to be integrated with the urban planning maps. Actually, we need such maps for all major towns and cities, which is about 1,000. It is a gigantic task, and we need to take up this task, but what we need is to standardize the protocols for collecting the geotechnical and seismic data and their analysis, which is unfortunately is lacking today. I am sure that the book on comprehensive seismic zonation scheme for regions at different scale is very timely and apt at that time and provides a way to handle such a task. The effective communication strategies are also required to convey the assessment of risk and microzonation details to support the appropriate decision making. I am sure that such knowledge to lead to hazard resilient land use and appropriate siting and construction practices. The possibility of providing early warning in an earthquake is also being explored. In a pilot project, about 100 sensors have been installed in Uttarakhand and are connected with a central recording station. The warning time will range from a few seconds to a little more than a minute, and such system can provide for Delhi per se about 60 to 90 seconds in case of big earthquake occurs in the Himalaya. Many question whether this would be sufficient, but my experience says this is quite good enough to stop the major areas like metros, powers, and all that, so this can be done. The systematic approach towards the generation of a long-term comprehensive multiparametric geophysical observations is also been going. These labs have been set up in Guttu and Uttarakhand and Shillong. They are designed to record the geophysical precursory signals resulting from stress-induced changes. And this should establish a relationship between the various earthquake precursors and earthquake processes, thus improving our understanding of the earthquake. The progress in the understanding the mechanics of the earthquakes can come from the improvement in the data collection, laboratory experiment, and from theoretical developments, which can allow the numerical simulation of the earthquake processes. Modeling of the earthquake requires the understanding of the propagation of rupture, which needs to be done at a very fine spatial and temporal scale. This is one of the major limitations because the earthquake processes are operating many kilometers deep in the earth, and the information on nature of material which is rather limited. We have started a project in the Koina where the borehole has been drilled up to 3 kilometers and which will go up to 7 kilometers, essentially to record what kind of a physical and chemical changes takes place when the earthquake takes place. I think this is the only experiment of such kind in the world, and I'm sure that we will get very new insight that what exactly happens when the earthquake occurs. However, the monitoring and understanding of the earthquake is not sufficient to mitigate the risk from the hazards. The existing social systems, the political, economic, and industrial infrastructure are also equally important to provide resilience to the society. We have seen that though disaster-related information has been provided, in the absence of effective communication to people at large or lack of ability of local administration to respond to an event, natural calamities do cause large loss of lives. Hence, we need to build also the organizational strength to quickly and effectively respond to such an event. Lastly, we need to prepare the human system as they need to respond to instruction given by the local administrations. The response of population depends on the reliability of the information and effective communication of the risk. Several public outreach programs, including Himalayan School Earthquake Learning Program, to sensitize the general public and school children about seismic hazard has been undergoing. The book on preparing for earthquake, Lessons for India by T.G. Sitharam and Dr. Kolathayar provides valuable information for the community to respond to an earthquake event. I am sure these 3 books certainly improves our understanding about the earthquake and help in reducing risk and losses. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your enlightening words. Being a person extensively worked in the area of earth sciences, your remarks on the books and the topic are very valuable to us authors as well as the readers. Thank you, sir. Now I will request some of the experts here to have brief reflections on the book. You know, it is the feedback from the experts that will enable us, the authors, as well as the readers, to streamline the future research direction benefiting the society. So I will first request Dr. B.K. Rastogi, who is a former Director General of Institute of Seismological Research and scientist NGRI Hyderabad, and presently the President of Indian Society of Earthquake Science. Please, sir.
Thank you. Dr. Professor Anurag Kumar, Dr. Shailesh Nayak, Dr. Sitharam. Today I am really very happy to be associated with this book release and the workshop. The Indian Society of Earthquake Science is also associated with this workshop, and we have been doing similar work in Gujarat after the 2001 earthquake. This Institute of Seismological Research was started there for a comprehensive study on earthquake understanding, earthquake hazard assessment. So we have been doing a lot of seismological research, understanding earthquakes, possible areas where future earthquakes, how much they can happen, to what power and intensity. And we, in the process, established a very dense network of stations, as Dr. Nayak was mentioning. We had put some over 50 seismograph stations in Gujarat state, and also GPS stations, and all of these stations were connected directly to the station by telemetered network. And the data was also, for some stations, was communicated to Delhi and Hyderabad, and so that it is part of the national network. And then with the help of Dr. Sitharam, we were new in this, although we knew a lot about earthquakes, but about geotechnical engineering, we got a lot of help from Professor Sitharam. And we also established a very state-of-the-art geotechnical lab that has most of the equipments for all soil testing, different parameters, cyclic, triaxial, and shear strength, and so many say soil properties. So as it was mentioned that though there some hazard is known, but the site characteristics and also how amplification is there. So that kind of information, as Professor Sitharam said, it was not available even before the 2001 earthquake. And so after all this say setup of laboratories and institute, so a lot of work similar to what Dr. Sitharam, Professor Sitharam has been done. So a PGA and also local site conditions and hazard assessment, probabilistic, deterministic, has been done for the whole Gujarat state. And actually it is also based on real ground observations, because we have done very extensive measurements of local seismic velocity and soil conditions. So very detailed, maybe more than 1,000 such points in different parts of Gujarat. So based on this VS30 map and also extensive drilling in many parts, so all this map for the whole state, and also as he is mentioning about different scales in this book which was released. So the hazard is done at say 3 levels. One is say for whole Gujarat state, and then some regional areas also, like a special investment region of Dholera, where 5 futuristic cities are coming, and also one international finance tech city near Gandhinagar, which has already started, and it is first smart city. So and also many say ports, LNG storage terminal site, nuclear power plants in Gujarat and in Maharashtra. We have given for many say high-rise buildings which are coming up in Gujarat, and because of all these say investigations, good thing in Gujarat was that maybe about 15 areas and our assessment sites, the findings have been really used, as Dr. Nayak is telling. These findings have to be really used in the, so it is a good thing that in Gujarat all these have been put to use, because in International Finance Tech City, every week while construction was going on, So they came to us. So based on the geotechnical findings, we advised the foundation also. Earlier they were thinking of, say, 28-story building, only the platform also 3 feet, 2 meters or so. So I said, no, there may be, if there is a liquefaction, the whole platform may tilt, so building may be damaged. So the piles also were put, they said pile will put, say, 10 meters or so. Based on geotechnical, we said no, at about 17, 18 meters, there is a weak layer. So you have to take below, say, 17 meters, so up to 18 meters, then piles were drawn. And also building design also was, say, taking into hazard of liquefaction. Say, risk was, the hazard was taken to higher level. So all this, and also during inauguration, Modi, the Prime Minister presently and earlier, at that time Chief Minister, he spotted me in the inauguration, and he asked whether all these things, are they making earthquake resistant? I said, yes, they have been consulting us. So like that, a lot of studies have been done. And now, again, most of the things have been told about the books. I also read these books earlier also, and yesterday and today also I read. They are very good reference books. And also many students and many researchers will be benefited by a lot of detailed work has been done. As has been mentioned that this book, Preparing for Earthquake, gives the overall hazard, what is there in India, and then do's and don'ts, what is to be done, say, during an earthquake. And also they have prepared a questionnaire in individual scale for each person, whether a person is prepared for facing the earthquake, and also say society. So these questionnaires are there. So based on these questionnaires, it can be assessed whether somebody is prepared really for this. And then the other book, which is at the extreme end, Earthquake Hazard Assessment, it gives, say, more detailed what kind of hazard and how to estimate the earthquake parameters, say, catalog, and say for probabilistic and deterministic determination, what kind of accelerations are to be considered, earthquakes are to be considered, and then what kind of, say, attenuation relations have to be considered, how probabilistic and deterministic methods have to be have to be applied, and then how earthquake hazard is assessed for different regions. So, and then as I mentioned, the third book, which is at different scales, how the say investigations are done, they have to be done, in a different way for different scales. One scale is, say, for a country, as he mentioned, and also here at the country level, the assessment is a little broad scale based on, say, PGA or whatever is expected accelerations. And then in the second level, that is, say, regional or specific area-wise or city-wise, then you have to see the ground conditions. So actual hazard, how much is expected, how much amplification can be there. So these kind of things. And for specific sites like nuclear power plants, all this has to be done still in more detail. So all these things are given. How then earthquake, say, catalog for say 50 kilometer detailed catalog and 300 kilometer. All this is done in, is given in detail. So these books are really very useful, and I think they will do good business also, and they will be very useful. With this, I will end my presentation. Thank you.
I will request Dr. Rastogi to kindly accept a token of affection from us, please. Thank you, sir. Now I will request all the speakers, experts to kindly restrict to 1 to 1.5 minutes as we are running short of time. I will request Professor Hemanta Hazarika, Kyushu University, Japan, to kindly say his brief remarks. He actively works in the area of soil dynamics and earthquake engineering.
Professor Kumar, Professor Nayak, Professor Sitharam, my dear colleagues, students, ladies and gentlemen. It's my great privilege and honor for me to speak for a few minutes. I have been given 1.5 minutes or 2. I'll try to finish within that time. Thank you very much for this opportunity. First of all, my congratulations to Professor Sitharam and his colleagues for the release of these 3 books. I have been knowing Professor Sitharam for more than 20 years, I believe. First, when he came to Japan, and I was in a small institute in a very small town of less than 40,000 people, and of course in a technical institute teaching geotechnical engineering. That time he came all the way from Yamaguchi or Saga, I think, and to give a lecture in our institute. And since then he encouraged me to apply to IISc Bangalore. In fact, I applied and I got it, but somehow I couldn't accept the position. I'm very sorry to say that at this time, long time back, it was 2002. And then I think, then again he came to Yamaguchi University, and he not only taught me engineering, but also he taught me how to make dosa. Because I'm a big fan of South Indian food, and he taught me how to make dosa from the rice and the dal, urad dal. Anyway, that time I think he didn't start his earthquake engineering research. I remember. So in 20 years, less than 20 years, the work he has done is excellent. Actually, especially earthquake geotechnical engineering, after Professor Samsher Prakash left India, there is a great void in the earthquake geotechnical research in India, and I think Professor Sitharam filled that void, and especially he did a pioneering research on seismic microzonation, and that's a good start from India. I think he brought the level of earthquake geotechnical engineering research to a level compared to the rest of the world. For that, I really congratulate him. Thank you very much. And as Professor Kumar, director, mentioned, that writing a book is not that easy. Actually, he has written almost 11 books, and these 3 books are going to be good reference books for the next generation, future generation, present researchers. I think you'll spend less time going through the literature, and then by going through these 3 books, you can learn more directly, and it will benefit the new students and future generation of researchers. So from that point of view, I think it is an excellent start by Professor Sitharam. I really thank him for the initiative and the effort, because writing a book is not that easy. Okay, thank you very much, and I wish you good luck. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Kindly accept a small token of affection from us. I request Professor Bhuminathan from IIT Madras to kindly speak a few words. Professor Bhuminathan was actively involved in the microzonation studies in the country. Welcome, sir.
Respected Professor Kumar, Dr. Nayak, and Professor Sitharam, and our senior professors, retired Professor Sreevalsa, Professor Pranesh. Nice to see all of our colleagues, IISc colleagues, and also students. I'm very happy to be here, this function, on behalf of Geotechnical Group, particularly Geotechnical Earthquake Engineering Group of IIT Madras. I congratulate Professor Sitharam and Dr. Naveen and Dr. Kolathayar for publishing these 3 excellent books. Of course, I am working in soil dynamics earlier than Professor Sitharam, but he is a pioneer in the field of microzonation. After he only first started working on microzonation Bangalore city, then after 5 years, I think, we started working on microzonation Chennai city. And of course, obviously, we have 2 nuclear projects. Therefore, we have involved also similar study, but we are not involved in the microzonation studies. And of course, I know I am examiner for some of his students worked in this area of microzonation. I know very well about his capability, their capability also. And the content of these 3 books actually, of course, when we started that, we have a very limited book on earthquake geotechnical engineering, only Professor Kramer book only, but recently only we are getting more books. Of course, in Indian context, of course, I think so this is the first 3 books available in this area. And of course, it extensively covers from the hazard to site effects, and finally to arrive the design ground motion parameters. That is what we are looking for earthquake resistant design actually. And also giving focus on liquefaction. I think is one of the project funded from the DST on what I understood, liquefaction by discrete element method. I think that is a unique model. I'm not heard of even other countries. No one has applied discrete element method for studying the liquefaction problem. He successfully carried out, and also first time he built the cyclic triaxial apparatus, even though we have imported from UK, but he is able to publish much higher quality journals than what we have published actually. With this brief words, actually, first I thank you once again. I congratulate others, and I hope that particularly all our students will have to purchase this book and will get information about particularly earthquake scenario in Indian conditions. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Kindly accept a small token of affection from us. Thank you, sir. I will request Professor M.R. Pranesh, former Director of NIT K. Surathkal and former Head of Ocean Engineering Department and Professor at IIT Madras. Please.
Good morning to all of you. See, the work on soil dynamics, vibration was started in the Department of Civil Engineering, IISc, as early as 1954-55, as mentioned by Madhavelata. Department started in 1950. So over a period of time, quite a good amount of investigations have been done in terms of soil dynamics, identifying parameters and so on. And later, the work started in earthquake engineering, modeling with earthquakes and so on from the structural engineering department. And over a period of time, the things were going on a theoretical investigations only. So later, after some time, people have started based on the experience gained based on number of earthquakes that already been mentioned, how best we can contribute. So earthquake, as known everyone, is a disastrous thing. How to overcome this is a thing that is we must plan for mitigation of this rather than management of the earthquake after affair is over. So we have already planned for cyclone warning signal, tsunami warning signal and so on. Hence, it becomes mandatory on our part because, as mentioned by Dr. Shailesh Naik, population is exploding, so you must be in a position to identify how best that we can try to minimize the earthquake effects. And if you are able to give the warning signal much earlier, it must be much more useful. So with this, the books that is published by Professor Sitharam and his team, based on the data they assessed, must be in a position to develop model. Of course, it may take sufficient number of time, of which may not be over time. Say earthquake, as it happens to it, is a small tremor. which creates maximum of damage. But the time to create the warning signal, it takes a lot of time. With this, I wish all the best for Sitharam and his team and contribute for how best we can mitigate and giving the warning signal. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. May I request Professor Srinivas Murthy, former professor in the Department of Civil Engineering and Registrar IISc.
He is asking me to cut it to 1 minute. I can do in half minute. For youngsters, I wanted to say one thing: get inspiration from these books. Further, aim for a Nobel Prize. You know that if you can predict the earthquake, yes, you can get the Nobel Prize. Prediction means what? Location, place, and everything should be there. Not the question of Himalaya, it takes place. No. Probably zonation, micro-zonation. In fact, I had the privilege of going with him to Bhuj. We identified why the collapse of the 48 towers in Ahmedabad city has taken place, whereas neighboring properties are intact. That is because micro-zonation helps you, liquefaction, maybe like that. So this, if you can predict the earthquake precisely, or anyone, I am ready to challenge that you will get Nobel Prize. Thank you. All the best to you.
Thank you, sir, for the very encouraging remarks. Now I request Dr. M.P. Ravindra, the President of IISc Alumni Association and former Vice Chancellor of Manipal International University, Malaysia.
Good morning to all of you and the dignitaries and dais, and congrats to the people who have published this book. And I think it's very, very topical right now, because so much is happening, and most of us do not know why and what to do about it. So it's actually very, very relevant. And because he mentioned about my other job that I do as Alumni Association President, yes, it makes all of us feel very proud that our alumni are really contributed to the spread of this knowledge and helping in the society. But when Sreevalsa asked me to talk in this particular meet, some questions came up, and I'll leave it there. Possibly it's been treated in the book because I haven't yet seen the book. I'm basically extending it. Question is, how is this basically influencing the policy for some of these areas? Second question that came to my mind was, is it somewhere getting into the standards that are currently used in building in some of the identified areas? Any guidelines for people to really take these standards and modify them in a zone where there is a guaranteed chance of an earthquake happening or a slippage happening? Because these become very relevant if this knowledge has to be very useful, and helps in the branding of all the professors and the institutions you work for, which helps the institution further and attract more young talent to get into the area. That's about what that came to my mind, and I'll leave it with that. And once again, congratulations. Continue the fantastic work. Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Yeah, we will have the last remarks from Mr. Srinivas Mantrala, Vice President of Afcons Infrastructure Private Limited. He is the man behind the construction of world's highest elevator railway bridge across River Chenab. Please.
Respected dignitaries on the dais, and my dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, I am some sort of wild card entry into this function. So I would like to say a few things. I would like to introduce the other side of Professor Sitharam and his team. We are building the world's highest railway bridge, single arch span of 460 meters, at a height of 352 meters above water level. Then the bridge is located in Jammu Kashmir, and it is in Zone 5 of seismic zoning map of India. And it is a very important structure and needs to be designed very carefully, constructed very carefully. And not only that, there are a lot of challenges of lack of knowledge or lack of half knowledge. That is where we ended up. And Professor Sitharam, Professor Madhavilata, the whole team was with us for the last 14 years. And we completed all the slope stabilization works by taking elaborate measures. And it is not that Professor Sitharam and team have designed the slopes or analyzed the slopes. They never left it that point. They are with us all through. In fact, like reviewing our method statements and commenting them. And when we have day-to-day problems or some geological surprises, they were with us. It is a really different ballgame. It is equally as good as writing this book. And at the end of all this work, you know, what is the comments made by the administrator, that is the owner of the project. We finished 250-meter deep cutting on the banks of River Chenab. The chairman and managing director of Konkan Railway came to site, stood at the bottom of the cutting, looked up and said, now, in Hindi he said, abhi bridge ban jayega. Means, now the bridge can be constructed. And that is the amount of hard work put in by Professor Sitharam and team. And it is apt on their part to write these books. And I also request him and his team to come up with a book which is useful for a practicing engineers, particularly with earthquake scientific background. I wish them all the success. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. So we had a lot of comments from various experts from different background, academia and industry, and I'm sure a lot of many young minds here will be having many feedback and comments, so please write to us. So we will take them in the right spirit to streamline our future research. So now we have the senior editors from Springer, Ms. Swati Maharshi. So I request her to speak for 2 minutes, please.
Good morning, everyone. It's always a pleasure to be at IISc, and especially at book launches. So I end up getting invited to a lot of book launches, and I always meet Professor Anurag Kumar, and he asks me, is this one of yours? And I'm like, no, I just got invited to the launch. But today, they are, at least some of those books are ours. And we are very happy to be here, and I thank Professor Sitharam and the Institute and Dr. Anurag Kumar for having us here. IISc is a very important institution to us. We have a very strong relationship with them. We also publish the journal of the institution. We also have a relationship, a publishing relationship with NIAS. Dr. Nayak is here. We have a book publishing partnership with them, which was started in the days of Dr. Baldev Raj. And we now also have a series partnership with Professor Sitharam, who is the series editor of the Springer Transactions in Civil and Environmental Engineering, which is a broad scope civil engineering series. So that's our relationship with publishing and with the IISc in particular. But I also have a very old relationship with the earthquake and geotechnical engineering communities. So my first discussion as a publisher on earthquake engineering happened in the winter of 2007 in the office of Professor C.V.R. Murthy in IIT Kanpur, where we talked about publishing a series of books on earthquake engineering, none of which have been published so far, but we hope to do that at some point of time. And also, I was the publisher in my previous position of the books of Professor B.M. Das, which are read by a lot of young students. He publishes books in different areas of geotechnical engineering. And now at Springer, I am also the representative of Geotechnical Engineering and Earthquake Engineering Publishing. So it's a pleasure to be here today, and we look forward to publishing more and more with IISc and with all of you. So if you need anything and we can be of any assistance, please feel free to contact us. You can get our contact through Professor Sitharam, or you can talk to me today while I'm around. Thank you very much.
Thank you, madam. So there is a small announcement before we break for tea. All those who have registered will get the participation certificate at the end of the program in the evening. So those who have not yet registered can contact Mr. Vivek at the registration desk. And also for the technical session, which will begin at 11:30. So all those who are standing outside and back will get the seats. So please be on time here. So yeah. So we once again thank Dr. Anurag Kumar, Director IISc, and Dr. Shailesh Nayak for kindly accepting our invitation and being with us. Thank you all the senior faculty members, industry professionals, delegates, students, and everyone. Thank you one and all for being with us this fine morning. So we will have a short break for a high tea, and we will assemble back by 11:30. Thank you. High tea is